Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner. There's Corey Tagman over there. In the middle is our guy, Zeke here. And Zeke, the good news is the Minnesota Wild have pulled off one of the biggest trades, if not the biggest, in franchise history. The bad news for you is Zeev is no longer here.
Yeah, I'm no longer a Bezeever, although he did notch an assist and a goal in his first game with the Canucks. So it was fun to watch Vancouver fans have a little bit of kind of gloating there, although we won the trade, but then Quinn scored against Boston last night, and he smiled. Quinn Hughes not known for smiling, and he was smiled like 3 times last night. So he loves it here. Just sign him to the 8-year contract right now. He's not going anywhere.
I saw there were clips of him on the bench sitting there like this, and it's like Kaprizov and Boldy are like chatting, they're doing their thing, and then it's just Hughes right next to them like this. And a bunch of Canucks fans are like, see, there it is. Anyway, but this is a huge deal to get Quinn Hughes, to get him onto this team. Top 2 defensemen in the league. And we talked about it, right? With the Wild, they got out of the Parise and Suter contracts. This is Billy G's summer, and they signed a bunch of 3rd and 4th line vets. Tarasenko comes in, and you're like, oh, that's it? They couldn't go big game hunting? What's Billy G up to? And instead they wait mid-season and pull off a big swing. And it took a haul, giving up Zeev. You gave up Marco Rossi. You gave up a couple other. You gave up another first-round pick and a player who was a first-round pick whose name escapes me at the current moment. But either way, like, that's a haul. Basically, 4 first-round picks go over to the Vancouver Canucks, and it's a haul for a guy who's on basically a 1.5-year contract, and there's no guarantee from him that he is going to sign with the Minnesota Wild. So before we talk about how he played yesterday, because that was awesome and what he could mean for the Wild, should that concern us, Zeke? Should we be concerned that we basically traded a haul for what could just be a 1.5-year rental?
If this works out the way that Billy Guerin thinks it's going to work out, and that's a cup. I mean, that's ultimately what he's swinging for here is a cup. If the Wild win a cup next year, who cares if Zeev Buium's not going to be here for the next 10 years? You know, if they're able to get over the mountain, if they're able to win a cup, who cares? People slide their chips into the table all the time. You look at the Kansas City Royals when they won their World Series. They slid all their chips into the table, then they were awful for the next decade. The Washington Nationals slid all their chips into the table. They won their World Series, and they're still terrible today. And the Wild are hoping to do that same thing. Anytime a player the caliber of a Quinn Hughes is available, yes, it hurt to give Zeev away because he probably the second best player in that draft. He's going to be a 70 to 80 point guy for the next 10, 15 years. Probably Marco Rossi's a 25 goal a season guy when he's healthy, but he's kind of been on the, is he going to be traded? Is he going to stick around kind of conversation for a while? Ogren, not sure if he's going to pan out to be a top 6 guy or not. And then that first round pick. And I mean, obviously Zeev, the headliner in this trade, he's going to be a very good player for a very long time. But when Quinn Hughes is available, when Micah Parsons is available, you have to make that trade.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the thing. Micah Parsons has been the player that's kind of like explaining this trade in NFL terms. Micah Parsons has kind of been the comp in that one. And yeah, Zeev could be great, but Hughes is better than Zeev right now, and possibly, I mean, there's no guarantee Zeev could get as good as him, and the Wild obviously can afford it. There's some interesting things with the contract. So under the current CBA, the Minnesota Wild are the only team that can extend him for 8 years, and not only that, can also give him unlimited signing bonuses, basically, kind of what the Wild did for Kirill Kaprizov, which basically means the Wild, if they want to, can outspend anybody in the league to re-sign him. Now, that may not matter because, of course, Quinn Hughes has 2 brothers who play in New Jersey, and the thing is everybody thinks they all want to play together. He's also from Michigan, and everybody kind of thinks at some point the Detroit Red Wings are going to try and get all 3 of them to play on their team. And then if you look at what Hughes said post-game, he said, yeah, I love the way the fans embraced me. It was great. I could definitely see myself signing here for a long time. The Wild, I don't think, can sign him until July officially, so there's still plenty of time to work things out. And overall, I think if the Minnesota Wild, I mean, win the Stanley Cup is obviously the thing, but if they can even just go, I mean, get out of the first round is obviously the bare minimum, but if you can go on a run where even you get to a Western Conference Finals in the next year or two, I think you say, you know what, you took your big swing, and we'll see what happens. Now, the Wild have to find some center depth. They can find that later. They can do some other things. And they're in a loaded Central Division that is the Avs and the Stars, and the NHL playoff format's awesome. Thanks, guys, for this awful setup. But, overall, this is a move, and this is kind of what boils down. Yes, they gave up a lot, but I don't care. I didn't care, even in hindsight, that the Minnesota Vikings signed Kirk Cousins. I don't care, even in hindsight, that the Minnesota Twins signed Carlos Correa. Even if both of those moves overall did not work out, I will never, the Wolves trading for Rudy Gobert, right? I will never get mad at an organization for taking a big swing, especially in a mid-market team wherever you can always fall into the trap of playing it safe and kind of having to rely on your laurels and things like that. I will never get mad at an organization for just going for it. And that's kind of my big thing in the Hughes trade. That was a steep price tag, and there's no guarantee he's going to resign, and he probably won't if we're being honest. But you go make your move. You have Kaprizov right now. You have Hughes. You have Boldy. You have 3 of the top 20 players in the NHL on your team. Go push for a cup.
You tack on the wall of St. Paul and what's happening, in between the pipes for the Wild right now. To your point, yes, not only will you never, you'll never look down on an organization trying to go after it, but more importantly, we also know what it feels like when an organization can't or won't go after it. The Wild couldn't for a decade because of how they hamstrung themselves organizationally. We're coming off a Twins season where that's just not what they're going to do. Like at the Correa signing, we all were all about that. And then they made the playoffs and didn't make a trade. And we all, we know the story. We don't need to rehash that. That option sucks, man. So to have this, you can't go get a good player without giving up a good player. That's just how it works. What I wanted to throw out is some top trades in Minnesota Wild history. I'm just going to lay them out here for you. Tell me where you think this Quinn Hughes trade ranks. Okay,
There's not many good ones.
There's not many. I have 4 of them. I want to give you. Acquiring Brock Faber and a first rounder for Kevin Fiala, acquiring Philippe Gustafson for Cam Talbot, Kevin Fiala for Granlund, Marc-Andre Fleury for a second round pick, and then the 5th one here, Hughes for all the assets, basically. Where does this Quinn Hughes rank amongst those other best trades in Wild history, do you think, Zeke?
As of right now, easily number 1. I think you put Brock Faber for Kevin Fiala at, oh my goodness. See, that one's tough because we couldn't pay Fiala because we were hamstrung. But then you look at the Gustafson for Talbot trade and what Gusty's done in between the pipes since he came to, slow start, and then he's been very good as well. Got that 5-year contract. I would maybe throw. There's a couple other ones. The Danny Heatley trade. He was a 50-goal guy. He was supposed to be good. I think Brett Burns went to San Jose for that one. But I think right now, getting Quinn Hughes is the biggest moment in franchise history since that day in July when Parise and Suter both signed with the Wild on the same day. It should generate that kind of optimism and that kind of excitement. This is easily the best defensive player to suit up for the Wild in team history. And to pair him with Brock Faber, and now you've got Spurgeon, and you've got just studs on the defense with Brodin and Middleton and Bogosian able to slide down now. This is going to be a lot of fun. So buckle up.
Yeah, and I think too the biggest thing is like you said, Zeke, it generates excitement. I mean, the rink was loud yesterday. And they have the ice audio of when they did the goal announcement for Hughes, and the place lit up. They were ready for that Quinn Hughes goal. And not only that, the NHL account has tweeted about the Wild 50 times in the last 3 days. This is something that puts you
good.
The Wild have been a forgotten franchise. Not that they've been bad, but just kind of they get lost in the wash all the time because they've been mid. and call them the Minnesota Wild. Like, that's where they've been. And for them to go and make a swing like this and to get in that spot is huge. And not only that, but like, there are a ton of NHL fans I've seen over the weekend after the Wild win yesterday against Boston. A bunch of Canucks fans are basically like, are like hopping on as a sidecar for the Wild this season. And they're like, my first Wild experience was a W. And then they also watched the game on Saturday where they won against Ottawa. And it was like, guys, look at this. The Wild hockey's awesome. And all the Wild fans are like, you guys know what you're signing up for? Like, this is, let me tell you, this is not how it usually goes. That's been kind of fun. Like, it's making the Wild a story. Plus, nobody likes Dallas. Nobody likes the Avs. So I think everybody's rooting for the Wild to kind of go punch both of those franchises in the face. And it's just really cool. And again, I don't know how long this will last. I don't know if they'll win the cup. I don't know all that stuff. But still, it's fun to see a team take a swing. The Wild are feeling their oats right now, as they should, and it's just going to be fun because we're going to have a lot of fun hockey to follow throughout the rest of the winter and leading into the spring. It's going to be a lot of fun. Buckle up, boys.
I'm ready. Yeah, don't forget the Wild beat Dallas and Colorado in the last month without Quinn. We're going from Minnesota to Quinnesota, and I'm all in.
Quinnesota. Chills. All right, Zeke, thanks so much for hopping on and talking hockey.
Yep.
Do you want to, before I let you leave, I got to say this one stat. Have you guys seen this about the Vikings, the Wolves, and the Wild? This is the first day that they have all won on the same day since like December of 2003.
I remember my
plus Gopher men's basketball beat Texas Southern.
Yes, they
did.
Gopher
women's basketball beat Wyoming 5-0. 5-0 yesterday. Did the Beavers play yesterday? Did they win?
No, they didn't, but that's good. It means we can. Their hockey team is both their hockey teams are off for a month. So it's they got next edition with the Gophers on January 2nd. That's what the men's have coming up next. So, yeah, exactly. It's overall just a really great. Enjoy this 24-hour period of Minnesota sportsdom. We don't get it very often. So, all right, Zeke, thanks so much for hopping on.
You bet. See you guys.
All right, there's our guy Zeke joining us here on the Morning Sports Desk. Corey, before we talk more, we get some local sports highlights to just breeze through, but let's talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
If you love Pizza Ranch chicken, and trust me, you do, and if you don't, get the heck out of here. We don't want you anyway. Don't miss out on this unbelievable deal. 8 pieces of the country's best chicken for just $16 at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Great chicken. Pair it with the mashed potatoes and gravy. Do what I do. Throw some chicken fries on there too. And drizzle a little gravy on those. Or maybe you like to dip those things in ranch. We all know about the delicious buffet and all the great pizzas on the buffet. And of course, before your meal or after your meal, head on over to the FunZone Arcade for a riotous good time. The Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in downtown Wadena.
The country's best chicken, aptly named. It's a great spot.
Very
Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. All right, Corey, there's some local sports highlights we got to get through here, and then we'll circle back to the state sports because the Wolves have won 2 in a row. The Vikings got a huge win, and the Twins made a move, which is good to talk about. So a lot of stuff coming up. But first, let's talk about some local sports things. The Park Region Conference Girls Basketball Showcase was on Saturday. It was in Sebeka, 4 games, all in the Park Region Conference. Really, really fun day to celebrate girls basketball in central Minnesota. All of the coaches were so excited to have it back. They've been like pounding the table for it and really excited to get it back going for since it was something that COVID kind of wiped away, and then just now everybody's like, all right, I think enough time has passed. I think we're ready to start this back up again. And it was a great day. Started off with Sebeka and Henning, a really close game. The Hornets come away with a 65-60 victory in that one. Game number 2, an 88-28 victory for Monaga over Verndale as the Braves looking strong again. And then ended up having a really nice defensive matchup between Bertha-Hewitt and Wadena Deer Creek. Wolverines won 50-35 in that matchup. And then probably the best game of the day was the last one, is kind of the cherry on top between New York Mills and Pillager. And I can't remember the final score off the top of my head, but it was one where Pillager led all first half. New York Mills kind of just hanging around. And then within the first 3 minutes of the second half, New York Mills retakes the lead and then hang on from there to end up getting the victory in that one for a close Park Region Conference matchup. And it was overall just a really fun day. The games were great. It was fun to see all those teams in a day. Selfishly for me, I get to see all of our area teams in one day. We get them on the radio and we can say, hey, we got all the girls teams in our area on at least once this year. And you get to just kind of have an overall fun day of broadcasting. And I was talking with Sebeka AD John Lilquist. They say it's coming back next year. Bertha-Hewitt is going to host next year. And they're just really excited. And I mentioned to AD Lilquist over there in Sebeka, hey, anything you want us to do here at Hubbard Radio-Wadena to latch on and make this thing as big as it can, we're all in on, because it's just a really cool event. I know you've done them in the past, Corey, and just really cool to see it return.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, it's not dissimilar to tournament time and those neutral site games. I loved that and love it as a fan of knowing that I can, on, when you get to February and March, I can go to Concordia if I want and spend $8 to get in, $12 to get in, and just never leave my seat and watch games all day long until my bum tires or the games are boring or whatever it is. I love being able to go to the Target Center and watch games. We love double headers when schools host a girls boys basketball double header, and this is just an addition on to that sort of process. To know that you could have showed up for an 11 o'clock game and not have left the house left the gym until 7 o'clock that night. You're eating lunch in the gym. I love days like that. I think it's a great experience. It's a wonderful opportunity for basketball fans in general. If you don't get a chance to see everybody, this is a way to do that. They're just kind of special occasion moments. I love that the Park Region is doing this. I love that the girls are doing this. I love that it's going to continue. And, let's just convince those boys coaches that it's something we need to do,
Exactly. It was great. It was awesome. And I can't wait until next year. And by the way, we got more games coming up this week. We'll talk about them tomorrow on tomorrow's show. But just a reminder, you can find that broadcast schedule online at wadenaradio.com, Sports Cow on Facebook. And not only that, on the Hubbard Radio-Wadena YouTube page, which if you're watching the Morning Sports Desk on YouTube, you're already here. You don't need to go anywhere. We will have games streamed on our YouTube page as well, which is really, really exciting. So more on that coming up tomorrow. But Corey, let's go through some other local sports headlines going across, making the rounds here in central Minnesota. I want to give a shout out to Quinton Flynn of Bertha-Hewitt, who got named to the 2025 Minnesota 9-man All-State team at linebacker. Of course, a great season for Bertha-Hewitt football, and he gets honored there to be able to get his name on the All-State team. That's cool.
Way to go. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, and a lot of other things to mention as well. Colby Tappy was an academic All-State and on the All-Star team as well for Minnesota in AA, which is really cool. And again, just a really good football year in our area, and cool to see those kids getting the recognition,
Good sports is so we joke about it during the Vikings game, and I know we're going to talk about this when we talk about the Vikings in a little bit, but good sports is so much more preferable to not good sports. And we were very lucky this fall to once again see some pretty good sports.
Exactly. That was it's just really cool. And kind of going through our other local sports headlines here, we have Mimi and Sawyer, who are two girls that play for the Pine River Bacchus girls basketball team. Mimi Beckers and Sawyer Tulinchik reached 1,000 career points over the last week. And it's not often you get an 1,000-point score, but to have two in the same season and kind of relatively in the same spot is just a really, really cool kind of feather in the cap.
Congratulations there as well. Keep it up. We got a long season in front of us. So, Tigers, go ahead and do some big things this year, huh?
Exactly. And again, keeping on our local sports headlines, over in Bertha-Hewitt, Brady Rock announcing his intentions to run cross country and track and field for the NDSU Bison next fall. I know there were a couple schools that Rock was interested in, and the opportunity, this is unofficial, I have not talked with him, but, talking with people that know him, kind of talking about the opportunity to run Division I is just too cool of an opportunity, you know what I mean, to pass up. And that it's just so awesome to get to see these local athletes get to do that.
Well, and if you've got a Division I program right down the road like that, he was awesome. He's an awesome high school athlete and runner, and obviously the seasons aren't over yet, and he's raring to roll for basketball and hoping to make a big splash. I know again this spring, come running season, but doing the cross country and the track and field stuff. I mean, that's not unusual if you're a long distance runner to do them both like that anyway. But it's a big deal, and Brady's been one of the premier guys in this area for a lot of years. I remember the first, he won a meet in Wadena, and it was like maybe the first meet he ever won. It was early. Cross country. If it was the Joanna or something like that. And I remember seeing pictures of that meet, and I was like, I can't figure out. It says in the article here that an 8th grader from Bertha-Hewitt won this thing, and I'm looking through these pictures. There's not an 8th grader amongst them. And then I figured out like a week or so later that this big jacked kid who I thought was a junior or senior from Bertha-Hewitt, that was the 8th grader. Like, he's just been doing it at a really high level, at the varsity level, for an exceptionally long time. And something that's rare in boys running. You see girls running, those young runners dominate. He's been dominant for a long time on the boys' side, which is pretty special.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, nursing a bit of a foot injury right now that he suffered during that cross-country season. So not quite getting an opportunity to play basketball yet for Bertha-Hewitt. I believe expected kind of back come January, but resting up and getting ready for the rest of basketball. And, of course, a running season at track and field where he's expected to have a chance to go to state there as well. So a lot of cool things for him.
Brady, would you please?
Yeah, come on.
Throw it down, big fella.
Let's go. All right. A couple other local sports milestones we need to mention here. Creed of New York Mills getting a really cool achievement, getting his 50th pin overall. So Mercy there getting his 50th, yeah, just a cool milestone for him.
Good ass wrestling name. May I say it that way? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Great wrestling name, isn't it?
Awesome. It's perfect. 10 out of 10. No notes. Was born in a singlet. Like, it's, awesome. And then also Kaya Anderson over at Perham played in 140 consecutive games played and has ended up setting a 3-point milestone for 3-pointers made at 237.
Yeah, she's the Cal Ripken Jr. of Perham Yellow Jackets basketball.
Great way to put it. She passed Katie Johnson for the record over at Perham with that one. So congratulations to her. She also passed Willow Teal for consecutive games played. So anytime you can put your name up with those two ladies, you're definitely in a great spot.
Kaya, way to go.
Exactly. So congratulations. Those are kind of our local sports headlines. We're kind of all caught up here and ready to roll. So that's cool. Sports Cow on Facebook is the place to go. WadenaRadio.com. Also a place to go. And yeah, Moo where applicable. And the good news is everywhere is applicable. So
everywhere. Take the moos with you.
Exactly. All right. A couple state sports things to get a notch in the belt here. Wolves have won 2 in a row, which is awesome to see. Anthony Edwards missed the last 2 games, though, with a foot injury. But, games against the Warriors, who still can beat you on any given night. They have Steph who can always go off on you, and he kind of did, but nobody else was able to. By the way, Jimmy Butler lost to a team without Anthony Edwards. Just to remind everybody that Jimmy Butler needs the Timberwolves need Jimmy Butler to win.
Yeah, call him Himmy one more time.
Exactly.
Someone in the national media. Go ahead.
Notice how his PR team has gone very silent over these last 12 months.
I don't have a lot of singular sports hates in my life. I don't have a lot of them. Some people are very petty sports fans. I'm not. But he's on it.
He's there.
He might be number 1 on the list, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm. Move over, Sean Payton. Jimmy Butler's taking your spot.
Yeah, it will. As long as Sean Payton stays in the AFC, I will feel a little okay about it.
You can disassociate a little bit. You just never have to run into him that much. So
thank goodness. I heard he smells.
And once again, teams still hate dealing with that. Okay. So, but yeah, Jimmy Butler lost, even though Steph Curry went off. A couple good Naz Reid games. Dante DiVincenzo playing well. And the Wolves kind of finding their stride a little bit with the 2 games without Anthony Edwards.
Can I ask, are the Wolves going to make a big trade? Like, there are minuscule rumblings about certain big names. The biggest, of course, is Giannis.
Yep.
Like, maybe it makes sense. I don't know if it actually does.
Checking in on everybody. Yeah. John Morant's been thrown around there. You've also heard Kobe White. Like, there's a bunch of different names. I think never underestimate Tim Connelly's ability to go for a big swing, as we've talked about, whether it's trading Cat for Randall and DiVincenzo, or trading all the picks for Gobert, or trading D'Lo for non-Conley. Like, there's don't be surprised with him to just touch base on any potential way to make a big move. They were in on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes until Durant said he doesn't want to play in the cold weather and stuff like that. So I think it's a matter of when, not if, the Wolves end up making a big move. It just depends on who it is, who they pull the trigger on, what it takes to give up. I think they need a point. They need somebody who can just be the main point. Dante DiVincenzo's good, but probably better with the second unit. Conley's shown his age. Like, it's just a little bit of, you need to kind of take that big swing because you have Anthony Edwards ascending. So anyway, that's kind of the short thing. We can talk about the Wolves thing in depth on a different day on a non-loaded show, but that's kind of the too long didn't read version.
DDV's not really exactly a point guard either. Like, I mean, I get he is, but he's just kind of a tweener. Yeah, I'll be interested, and we don't need to go further into it, like you said, but it is going to be interesting to see what they do. Much like, though, the Wild just pulled off, Timberwolves fans, if you want somebody worthwhile on this roster, somebody worthwhile will be leaving the roster. And
right.
It's a Nas, it's a DDV, it's a Terrence Shannon. It's a piece that you are going to think is important.
It's basically anybody but Ant or Jaden McDaniels. That's pretty much it.
Correct.
So, all right, let's talk about the Minnesota Twins, Corey. They made a free agent signing.
Now, we talked about the Wild and we talked about the Wolves, and you showed no excitement for any of them, CJ, and now you're jumping in your seat about the Twins. What have the Twins done that could possibly be worth this level of excitement?
They signed Josh Bell to a 1-year deal with a mutual option for 2027.
The guy from Nickelodeon?
Yes, exactly. Him. Exactly. The actor from Green Hornet. Yes, that's him. Remember when parody movies were a thing? And
yes.
It was a complete parody movie of the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
Kind of had a couple funny moments. Anyway, so basically here's the thing, and I wrote an article for Zone Coverage MN if you want to go check that out, where I talked about, there was a report last week that the Twins were in on Josh Bell, Rhys Hoskins, and Ryan O'Hearn. And basically it was kind of a really interesting mix of, like, Ryan O'Hearn had a career year last year, and it's kind of, do you bank on that career year happening again and signing him because he's coming off his first All-Star appearance, had a nice year, definitely his career best year. Do you go with Rhys Hoskins, who's got a more proven track record of high-end performance, kind of the bigger name, played for Philadelphia, had a couple of years in Milwaukee, although kind of regressed the last 2 years with the Brewers? Or do you go with Josh Bell? And I should say Hoskins is a little bit better overall, like more rounded player. And Josh Bell, who is like the definition of consistent as a hitter, but not a great fielder and a very bad base runner. But like, will just hit with a 750 OPS every single year, and you don't have to worry about it. You know he's going to hit at the very worst at a league average clip. And I think the Josh Bell signing, and we haven't quite seen, I don't think, what the salary is going to look like per year. Can't imagine it's going to be anywhere more than 7 to 10 million, but we'll see. So it gives the Twins probably about 10 to 15 million to spend on free agents the rest of the way. But the Twins mentioned they wanted to add relief pitching and a bat to the lineup, and a right-handed hitting guy who can be your majority first baseman, play some DH here and there. Cody Clemens can platoon with him a little bit. I think overall, here's some stats on Josh Bell, just to kind of throw these out there. Last year, he hit 22 home runs, recorded a 741 OPS, which is about league average, in 140 games. He was an all-star in 2019. He's played for 6 teams over his 10-year span in the majors, mainly with small market teams on short contracts. Feels like he gets traded at the deadline every year. But regardless of where he's played, he's found a way to hit. He's a career batting average of 256, a career OPS of almost 800, in 193 career home runs through his 10 seasons. And if you look at weighted runs created plus, which is just a way of how many runs do you produce, and it's kind of put on a scale where 100 is league average, his career worst is 101, and his career best is like 120. So he's somebody who, no matter what, you just know is going to be a league average to above average hitter. his fielding metrics aren't great. He's not a great base runner. But overall, I think if you just know you're going to get consistent production at the plate, that's what the Twins are looking for in and above all else. He's a mid-tier first baseman option, obviously, but you needed somebody to fill it because your option was Cody Clemens, and you just can't have Cody Clemens be your everyday first baseman.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, he turned out being okay before the Twins traded him, but like the opposite of Ty France.
Right.
Like France, you knew was going to play like average and be fine defensively.
Gold caliber first base.
Or a Gold Glove caliber first baseman. But was he going to be able to hit? And then it turns out for the Twins, he hit on top of it. I'm old school baseball guy, so not being good at defense makes me nervous. Not necessarily because of him, but when you pair a bad defensive first baseman with a pretty bad defensive everywhere else in the midfield.
Lewis and Brooks Lee at shortstop, and maybe Luke Keyshaw at second base, maybe in the outfield a little bit. Luke Keyshaw's been rumored they're going to put him in the outfield a little bit this year. So
it's not like a perfect marriage match made in heaven. Defensively speaking for the Twins, but to just get like a professional in the lineup for him to hit anywhere between probably 5th and 8th. He's your 5, 6, 7 hitter probably all year long. And just a guy that is going to put the bat on the ball. Hopefully that's whatever. It's if the Twins hadn't made a signing like this every year for the past half decade, I probably would have something a little more like optimistic or productive to say, but like that's just the first baseman spot for the last however many years has just been a Ty France, Carlos Santana, whoever.
Logan Morrison.
It's just a guy to be a chance for him to prove his mettle, basically, and either get traded at the deadline to a team that needs a good hitting first baseman, or for him to get a long-term contract with somebody else in 2027.
Exactly. And that's the thing about Josh Bell is with the 1-year contract with a mutual option, but mutual options rarely ever do the team and the player both agree on a second year. Usually the mutual option just allows the player, if he has a catastrophic year, to at least say like, I'm opting in, and if you want to not opt in, you have to pay me a certain amount of money to go away. And it just kind of gives the team a chance to whatever. It's just a little bit of like financial finagling.
Pessimistically too, like the Twins are not going to be a team that ever mutually opt in for the amount of money that the player wants.
Exactly. So that's I think Nelson Cruz had a team opt-in in 2020, and the team took that. That was about the only time they've really ever done that. So anyway, if the Twins stink, which could happen, very likely, you flip them at the deadline like you did for Ty France, and you move on with life. So anyway, that's the Twins move. There's not much else really to discuss there. All right, last thing, we got about 5 minutes here, and then I got to run. But JJ McCarthy had what is his best game as a pro. And I know we've talked over the weeks about McCarthy, and we got to be patient. And then it's hard because he looks so bad and was one of the worst, like statistically, one of the worst quarterbacks ever in a 6-game sample size. And we've kind of gone back and forth of like, how patient do you need to be? What does he need to show? And I think a game like this, it makes kind of even his most biggest critics go, oh, okay, all right, that's what the Vikings saw. And it just gives you a little bit of hope. It went from you need to move off of this guy after 1 year to, okay, well, if he puts like 1 or 2 more games up like that, you're still probably going to bring in a veteran just because, but also like it just gives you a lot more confidence that you can move stuff. He just looked a lot more confident out there, you know?
Well, it helps that they've won a couple weeks in a row. They also have
won 2 in a row.
2 games in a row. It's the first time all year. It was weeks 16 and 17 last year. That was the last time they'd won 2 straight. It also really helps that the defenses that they played the last 2 weeks have been like toilet water bad. So that has been super helpful, but also like it's probably the exact thing that he needs. It seems like his rapport is coming together. Now, he hooked up with everybody in the end zone, basically, except for Justin Jefferson.
He did hook up with Jefferson in the end zone, but a penalty negated that.
And then Jefferson dropped one, too. So, I mean, there were just some times like, come on, bro, you're the best receiver in the league. Go ahead and just squeeze it for your quarterback. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and do that. But there are still some throws. He made like a kind of half-hearted running throw, moving up in the pocket to Aaron Jones, kind of in the right flat. That was just one of the most god-awful looking throws you'd ever seen in your entire life. He still is out of sorts when it comes to scramble time. But I will continue to rest my laurels this season, CJ, on when he works in rhythm and is anticipating on time as he should be, the throws are where they need to be. Maybe the release is long. Maybe he steps weird. Maybe his elbows. I don't know. I'm not a quarterback coach, but like he can put the ball on the money when things are anticipated the way he wanted to. There was the shot on, was it third down to Addison, the bomb down the middle of the field? When he threw it, I was like, oh, this looks like Darnold to whoever it was against Seattle a year ago, where it's just like, oh, that's how this is supposed. That play is quintessential what Kevin O'Connell is trying to work this offense into. Whatever he's trying to do is trying to cap it off with that particular play. And it was just nice to see in one small snapshot of a game, like, oh, yeah, that's how this is supposed to look. That's cool.
I thought Chris Collinsworth gets hated on, and I can get annoyed by him a lot, but Chris Collinsworth definitely knows what he's talking about. And hearing him talk about J.J. McCarthy and the throwing motion, and they have Josh Allen's pro day, and they kind of have the throwing mechanics compared to two is really fascinating. And Collinsworth is just mystified every time McCarthy whips the ball and his leg kicks up like a pitcher, which does happen, by the way. Whatever. But it's really fascinating. But the Vikings have basically said, you know what? We're not going to be able to fix your footwork. So how can we get throws how can we set up windows where you're just allowed to throw at 50 miles, 90 miles an hour, like a fastball through them, like up the seam, deep balls. But I thought overall, these were two things that stood out with McCarthy. One, that fourth down pass to Naylor, he put some touch on and was really good.
Yeah.
Put it in the right shoulder, did everything he needed to do. And secondly, and this is the thing McCarthy hadn't done up until this point, when there were times to dump it off to Hawkinson, he dumped it off to Hawkinson or Jones. And they were able to just run forward for 5, 7, 10 yards when they needed to. And that's stuff McCarthy gets too tunnel vision downfield to make the play and do the read, where it's like you have Aaron Jones just sitting there. Just find him, move the play, go to another day. And also, J.J. McCarthy took 0 sacks, which is very, very important for him. Scrambled a couple times, and it's just huge. There was also, and this is the last thing I'll have to say about the game, he dives forward, and a lot of people always wonder, why do you dive forward, slide? Everybody saw Trevor Lawrence get completely knocked out last year by sliding feet first. You leave your head open. Defenders can't slow down whether it's intentional or not. And also the ball is behind your feet. Whereas if you dive head forward, you can hold onto the ball a little better. You can kind of head yourself into the ground, and the ball moves forward. You have a little bit more control over your body, and you're not quite leaving your head up on a platter in the middle for everybody to see. And I think that's a smart move, even if it sounds a little worse.
Yeah, I've never disliked the diving because it's been for first downs. It's been to get, and he has protected himself every single time. Now, the second he does it, and he doesn't, it's not in protection of himself. Like if he does it on a 1st and 10 and he's trying to get the 8th yard rather than just taking 7, I'll have a problem with that. But that hasn't been the situation quite yet.
Down yesterday, he got it on where he dove just forward for the first.
Yeah, the play, he got tackled, but it was just shy of the goal line, right? Like he lowered his shoulder.
He's like, in Michigan, I plow through this guy, and in the NFL, he stops me at the half yard.
Karen Hall got concussed and it ended his career, but I don't mind that. I haven't minded any of that. And then I'll say this again, for 3 weeks in a row, at least, and it's probably closer to however many weeks in the season he's played, that touchdown to Naylor in the back corner was a throw he has made all season long. This time it happened in the end zone. With Jefferson underneath, the safety comes up to help on Jefferson, leaves the one-on-one for the receiver on the out route on the backside. McCarthy's made that throw on the money. This was actually probably the worst throw he's made on that particular, like, route or that whatever the word is I'm looking for, whatever that sort of play, but a good catch, a good touchdown. He can make the throws when he can make the reads and anticipate in time. I've been saying it all year. I'm going to continue to say it all year. When things around him start to break down, he gets weird because his mechanics are weird. As those things start to shore up, he will hopefully continue to get better.
Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. See ya.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.